whatever age, God has asked His people to do some things that were intended to be tests of faith in Him. You can think of many in the Bible, probably. I think about Naaman, who had leprosy, and he was told by the prophet of God to go and dip 7 times in the Jordan River. Now, I didn't know the Jordan River had that much power. I didn't know it had curative effects. Well, of course it doesn't. But he was told to do that. And he obeyed God. And God brought Naaman's health back to him because he did what He told him to do. He showed his faith. Jesus told a blind man to wash in the pool of Siloam to receive his sight. Now, Siloam's water couldn't cure blindness, but doing what the Son of God said brought the man healing. You may be struggling with some command of God, thinking that it doesn't have any real meaning for you, or that it's outdated, it's old-fashioned. Do you have the faith to trust in the Lord, to do what He says, instead of trying to find a way around His commands? Through the years, many people have struggled with the command for believers to be baptized into Christ for the forgiveness of their sins. They find it strange that dipping in water would be a part of God's plan for redeeming mankind. They overlook the fact that baptism is an act of faith in the Lord. Baptism isn't some human work which stands in opposition of God's grace in saving us. It's a demonstration of our faith in the Lord and our willingness to obey what He says, even when human reasoning, my reasoning, your reasoning, can't explain why. Let me tell you a story that an old preacher told years and years ago. It was about 2 farmers, Farmer Dale and Farmer Pete, and these 2 were neighbors. They did a lot of things together. They really did love one another as neighbors and as fellow farmers. But they were always in competition with each other. Every year at the county fair and at other places, they would enter some kind of competition against each other. The problem was Farmer Pete always won. Farmer Dale never won. And Farmer Dale got tired of losing to Farmer Pete. And so he decided to come up with something that he could win at. And they both had horses on their farms, and so Farmer Dale challenged Farmer Pete to a horse race to see which horse would win the race. And what Farmer Pete didn't know was that Farmer Dale hired a professional jockey to ride his horse, figuring that it would give him the edge, just a little extra that he would need. Okay. Well, the race started. The 2 horses shot out. Farmer Dale's horse took the lead. Farmer Dale thought that finally he was going to beat Pete at something. And as they hit the stretch, ready to bring it home, the horses' legs got tangled up with one another, and both horses fell, and both jockeys went flying. And both farmers were hollering, "Get up, get up." And Farmer Dale's jockey, the professional, was the first to get up. He got on the horse and started riding again. And right behind him was Farmer Pete's jockey. And he got on his horse and started riding again. They crossed the finish line, and Farmer Dale's jockey crossed first. He was ecstatic. He was laughing and jumping around and shaking hands. And then all of a sudden, he looked and started crying. Farmer Pete said, "Dale, what's the matter? Why are you crying? You won. You've been trying to beat me all these years. You've never won, but today's your day. You shouldn't be sad." Farmer Dale looked at Farmer Pete and said, "My jockey got on the wrong horse." His jockey had crossed the finish line, but he was riding Farmer Pete's horse. Wouldn't it be tragic, after going as hard and as fast as you could through this line, to cross the finish line into eternity, only to discover that you were riding the wrong horse? Wouldn't it be tragic after you've done the best you could, after you've tried as hard as you know how, to try, after you've sung, after you've gone to church, you've tried to treat your neighbors right, and you did what you thought was the best that you could to cross the finish line laughing, only to start crying? Wouldn't it be terrible to realize at the end of your life here on earth that you crossed the finish line riding the wrong horse? And it happens, and it will happen, because the Lord said, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven. What's the next line? But he who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. So if you have somebody saying to you, well, I know it's in the Bible, but it's not that important, you think twice about that, because it is important if it's in the Bible. And how marvelous it would be if we could always follow God's Word with a spirit that says, if God said it, I believe it. And if He commanded it, I will obey Him without question. Let me finish with Hebrews 5, 8 and 9. Though He was a son, talking about Jesus, yet learned He obedience by the things which He suffered. And having been perfected, He became the author of eternal salvation to all who obey Him. Even Christ obeyed the Father. How about you? Don't listen to what the other people are saying if what they're saying contradicts God's Word. Listen to God's Word. That's His will. And thank you for tuning in today. May God bless and keep you is my prayer. Amen.